We'll call our meeting to order. It is September 11th, 2024, 6 p.m. We'll begin with a Pledge of Allegiance led by Daniel. Will you lead that for us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. As a formality, I guess, I'll read the statement on decorum. Although this is a public hearing, only the presenters and those invited by the commission. Oh, sorry, I skipped that. Thank you. We will begin with roll call, and then I will do the decorum statement. So we'll start over with Commissioner South and state your name and any conflicts that you may have.
Andrew South, no conflicts.
Melissa Kendall, no conflicts.
Daniel Gonzalez, no conflicts.
Lisa Jensen, no conflicts.
Adam Shin, no conflicts.
Jonathan Hill, also no conflicts. Okay, although this is a public hearing, only the presenters and those invited by the commission may speak or ask questions unless otherwise invited by the chair. Please wait to speak until called on. When speaking, be sure to speak into the microphone so that the record is clear. Please state your name and city of residence for the record. Please limit side conversations as they interfere with the audio recording. If you need to have a side conversation, please step out of the chambers. Please do not attempt to interrupt or speak over others. Intimidating or threatening speech or behavior will not be tolerated at any time. Please refrain from clapping, cheering, booing, or being otherwise disruptive during the hearing. Okay, we only have one item tonight. Item number 1, Provo City Council Office requests a general plan amendment to add an appendix to the Hillsides and Canyons Plan addressing city-owned properties outside the city boundaries, and that is a citywide application. Hannah Salzl will introduce Michael Sanders from the council to discuss this item.
Thank you. Council is bringing this amendment, so council staff will represent the item, but planning has been involved from the beginning. Concerns about these areas were some of what initially got the ball rolling on doing a Hillsides and Canyons Plan in the first place, even though they are outside of city jurisdiction. And planning staff knew when the council adopted these plans that this was something the council was going to add by the end. You might have even noticed in the draft plan, we have a little section for Appendix D that doesn't exist yet, but it is listed in the coming appendices because we knew the council was going to be adding it at some point. They've spent the last little while working out exactly what concerns they want addressed, what language they want. It's been reviewed by Public Works as well. So council staff, Public Works, and Development Services have all been involved in creating this amendment for Appendix D. And here's Michael Sanders. He's the policy analyst for the council who's been taking point on this.
Hello, commissioners. Thanks for being here tonight. Seems we have a full house of engaged citizens for this item. So we'll just, ooh, this is pretty fancy. Oh, it like vibrates, cool. All right. So tonight we're just discussing a proposal for an amendment to the Hillsides and Canyons Plan. So the council, as Hannah mentioned, wishes to add an appendix focusing on some city-owned properties that are actually outside of Provo boundaries, specifically kind of in the Provo, Bunnels, and South Fork area. This is kind of the best screenshot I was able to get of this area, but it's kind of in this general area, right? So during the planning process for the Hillsides and Canyons Plan, several of the councilors voiced concerns that there were some city-owned properties in the Provo, Bunnels, and South Fork Canyon areas which were left out of the plan, and those properties were just unable to be included in that plan because they're outside of the boundaries, and we can't create a long-term plan for properties that are under another entity's jurisdiction. So rather than including a statement about these properties in the actual plan, the council opted to direct us to draft kind of a statement of preferences of how this area should be used, which would be consistent with the Hillsides and Canyons Plan. So the statement just states that we're interested and willing to collaborate with other stakeholders in the 4 main areas here listed on the screen. So we'll talk about the first one here. The council wishes kind of to protect these areas from adverse development, and by stating their preferences on the conservation, of the areas. Their aim is to kind of protect the beauty and biodiversity of the lands while also maintaining the balance that will give us a clean air, water, and support the ecosystem of the area. They want to be able to keep the areas intact and where needed, kind of restore the areas to the natural state so that future generations can enjoy them like we do today. So at the same time, the council recognizes the needs to kind of, while they want to conserve, they also want to enhance recreational opportunities in these areas. This may mean a variety of things, such as developing or maintaining facilities like hiking trails or picnic areas, and really allowing the people to interact with nature without kind of compromising its integrity. So another critical focus of this this statement is to mitigate hazards, because this land faces many threats from natural disasters such as wildfires and earthquakes, which could endanger public safety. And the goal here is to really kind of state that we'd like to proactively address these risks. And finally, water resource management was a top priority, kind of as you've learned recently from your presentations on the water master plan. Water is a very critical resource for a growing community such as ours, and it's essential to develop and manage water infrastructure in a way that's both responsible and sustainable. So this would involve planning for current water needs, but also thinking ahead to ensure that future residents have access to a reliable water supply. And in these can areas, water management strategies may include things such as like protecting watersheds, maintaining clean water sources, and carefully planning infrastructure projects that align with overall conservation and recreational goals. So Public Works has not stated that there are any near or long-term plans for infrastructure development in these areas, but the council recognizes that Public Works does have a possible interest in these properties in regard to water resources and water rights in the long term. So overall, the council reviewed this proposal in July in a meeting and via email, and is now just seeking an up or down recommendation from this body on the language, when we just hope to consider it during the October 1st council meeting.
Excellent. Thank you. Any questions from the commissioners? Okay, Lisa.
Can you help us understand how the city owns properties outside the boundaries of Provo and how the different legalities of that? Like, I'm assuming they're like the parks that are up there. And
Yes, I do not know. I just know we acquired these properties at some point in time, and they're outside of the city boundaries. Yeah.
so we can do whatever we want with the ones that we own, but they're not subject to any, like,
Essentially, we can't tell the U.S. Forest Service through our general plan what to do with properties that are outside of, like, because our general plan only encompasses the city of Provo, and that's kind of.
Most of our land is in unincorporated Utah County, and we're subject to their zoning on our properties.
so
'Cause it's in their
besides, like,
jurisdiction.
I'm thinking Big Springs Park, is Vivian Park a city park or is that a county entity?
Vivian Park is in the county. We don't own land at Vivian Park. We own land further up South Fork. It was shown on Michael's map. But
The
that
two,
is
are
in-
the
that
two
is in
parks
U-
up South Fork, Provo Parks?
Those are in Utah County, and I believe in either the A1 or the CE1 zones of the
Okay,
county.
so they fall to the design ideas of the Provo general plan, but they are under somebody else's purview as far as that goes. Like what's allowed to have in those parks falls under the county zoning
Right,
requirements.
that's correct.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes, just to confirm, Big Springs and South Fork are definitely Provo parks. We can own land wherever. A lot of these are legacy properties, but again, in the county managed by the U.S. Forest Service, there are really strict development requirements anyway, but we own the property underneath and can manage recreational assets up there for our residents to access and use. It is how a lot of this came to be with the recreational assets and some legacy purchases for conservation and recreation.
So basically the intent of this appendix is just to state our goals for those properties lines with the stuff that we have within our own city boundaries, and we hope that people respect that.
Right.
There's no binding.
It's not binding at all.
Okay. Thank you.
So Provo City owns South Fork Park, and do we maintain that on our budget with our staff and facilities.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay, I'm going to note for the record that there are no citizens present here. And so we'll consider the public portion of the hearing a moot point in this case. So let's discuss it at the commission.
So I think the language in there is pretty aspirational. It does exactly what Lisa has explained. And I mean, I think it's great. Like there's limited opportunities for the city to do much there other than preserve it and make it accessible. And that's clearly stated. So I mean, it's a little bit like a resolution more than anything. So.
Any other comments? Any thoughts on the specific wording of the ordinance? Okay, are we ready for a motion? Or do you have something to comment?
I was just thinking, I wonder if there needs to be a reference to any part, like to the open space zone or anything like that, where we're referring to goals or language that would be useful, or is it okay to leave it as vague as it is? I'm sure there's other properties that aren't parks, so.
Yeah, considering this is the open space, I don't know if we would want to bring in zoning requirements or
This is
reference
a
zoning
more
requirements.
of a
in this
general
sense.
plan
It's-
level.
Yeah, like kind of as Commissioner South was noting, this really is kind of more like a resolution than anything. And the reason why the council wanted to go for the appendix route rather than the resolution route was that so that it would kind of be memorialized in the plan rather than just like a piece of paper in a computer file, resolution number 6 or whatever. It'll be in this plan.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I just think for me, I see it just as, current council stating their intent for future councils or for future citizens.
I guess an example of what I was thinking of is the last paragraph where it says, the said properties align with the spirit of the Hillsides and Canyons Plan principles and goals. Do you need to say see section 1.1.2 of the plan, or is that already so simple that it's redundant?
We felt that the language was pretty referential. That's what we called the section. So it
Okay, all right.
just see the table of contents.
That's the
hopefully.
only, when you asked about
Mhm.
language, that's the only thing I could think of is just the user-friendly findings tools.
Yeah, the links to the other parts.
Awesome.
Good. Are we ready for a motion?
I'll make a motion. I move that the planning commission recommend approval of the proposed text amendments here for item number 1 to the Provo City Council.
Any discussion on the motion? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Excellent. So we'll start with Commissioner South.
Aye.
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 And I will vote aye. Okay, so that passes unanimously. And we will now, do we have a motion to adjourn our hearing?
I'll move to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.